back. We're speaking with Robert Kibler from the division. Thank you, Robert, for being on the
Sam,
program.
how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. So I'm to understand that you have a poem for us from Dante, but first we could talk a little bit more about Dante.
Yeah, Dante Alighieri,
Mm-hmm.
a name that I think most people know from the Divine Comedy. The Inferno mostly is what excites people. But as a poet in the late 13th, early 14th century, Dante was part of a northern Italian movement uh, that addressed this new fashionable literary mode of love and courtly love from an intellectual and a philosophical vantage. And while the French, where the courtly love tradition and literature began, saw it as a sort of physical love between men and women, romantic love that in many instances sort of devolved into sexual body love, the Northern Italians took that uh, phenomena of love and intellectualized it and philosophized it. And, two of the chief people who did that were Dante Alighieri and his friend Guido Cavalcanti, both of whom were key to starting this new movement called the Dolce Stil Novo, the sweet new style. And it took love and intellectualized it. And in truth, that's what Dante does his entire career. Um, he starts with this small book, and I want to read a poem from this one book called the Vita Nuova, the New Life, where he introduces us to love and thinking about love from a variety of angles, philosophical, intellectual, rational, and works us through the many different varied ways in which we can understand it. Now, this was a precursor to his Divine Comedy, where his love interest, and it's the same love interest for Dante from the beginning to the end. Beatrice
Mm-hmm.
was quite literally the girl next door when Dante's 9 years old, and he adores her from across the street. We know who she is. She didn't marry to a person with more money, wealth, and prestige than Dante, but he continued to at least utilize that love in an aesthetic sense virtually all of his life. And the poems of the La Vita Nuova are addressed to her and sort of autobiographically talk about his intentions to meet her, introduce his love to her, etc., which you didn't do just straight up. You did through a screen. So, just like teenagers today might say, well, if he liked you, would you like him, kind of thing, or even asking the best friend of the girl you love out on a date so you could be closer to your beloved. Because according to the paradigms of the time, to direct a confrontation with your beloved would cause your heart to palpitate, yourself to sweat, and you would swoon and just drop down on the floor in front of her. So it was pretty hard to take that confrontational approach to love. It had to be indirect. But Beatrice from La Vita Nuova becomes Beatrice who has died and gone to heaven and is reflected back on her lover Dante, still alive, and realizes he's taken a bad road. And since she's herself so pure, she's at the left or the right hand of Mary up in heaven. She intercedes on Dante's behalf to ask Mary, can we give him another chance? And in his dream, Dante famously wakes up in a dark wood. And that wood is at the sort of outer perimeter of hell, and he's met by the poet Virgil, who, a love poet, leads him through the Inferno and up into the Purgatorio to a point past which he cannot go, because as a pagan, you can't go so far within the Judeo-Christian paradigm. So he says goodbye to Dante. Dante goes on his own and ultimately meets Beatrice in heaven, wakes up, going to be a new life, going to be a better man. And that's the life story of Dante, and it begins with poems such as Canto 20 that I'm here to sort of recite today. Um, Couple other things I would say is that in the poem, a medieval conceit of the time was that love was a male entity that, came into the scene or not. And two, technological developments in optics at the time had given way to an entire science of how love entered through the eye. And they've got these great discourses on how it happens, the reflection, the light, this, that, and that's so, and it goes. And, we still have our love at first sight
Mhm.
coming from these same paradigms. And both of these things you'll hear in the poem, where love is a male deity who's, awakened, and it's through the eye that love comes.
Excellent. So I'm to understand you're going to be reciting the poem twice.
Well, I don't know. Maybe if I could get through it once, I think that might be good enough. I thought we might do it many times if I screw up, so we could get it right and post that. But I'm willing to try Canto 20
Certainly.
from Dante's Vita Nuova. Love and the noble heart are but one thing, even as the wise man tells us in his rhymes. The one without the other venturing, no more than reason from a reasoning mind. Nature, disposed to love, makes love king, creating in the heart a dwelling place for him, wherein he lies quiescent, slumbering, sometimes for a little, now a longer time. Then beauty in a virtuous woman's face pleases the eyes, striking the heart so deep, a yearning for the pleasing thing may rise. Sometimes so long it lingers in that place, love's spirit wakens from his sleep. By worthy man, a woman's moved likewise.
Robert Kibler, thank you for this note on Dante, and thank you for the poem.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.